for the jambalaya with the kingfish.
Welcome back to the jambalaya with the kingfish. We have a special treat for you today. We have in the house with us, in the house here at Alchemy Studios, Mayor John Horhn. Yes, the John Horhn, the mayor, the guy who not upset, but dethroned. That's the right word, dethroned. Mayor Chokwe Lumumba, 75-25. Don't know if I can curse around the mayor, but I'll just say it was an ass kicking, and we'll just leave it at that. Anyway, thank you for coming on the podcast, Mayor.
Kingfish, is great to be here.
So what's it been like?
Drinking water out of a fire hose.
Not a fire hydrant or just a fire hose?
The hose has a lot more pressure.
And by the way, where's your entourage here? I mean, I was used to, some of your predecessors, they'd have like Muhammad Ali, 5'8" people. You got like a driver here, your executive assistant. That's it. Where's the posse?
Well, the posse spent all the money. We found out that 3 days before the election, 3 or 4 days before the swearing in, I should say, a trip was taken by the mayor and his posse, entourage, whatever you want to call it, over to Tampa to the National Conference of Mayors, and at least a dozen people were taken over there. So it looks like they spent down all the travel money except for
how much are we talking about?
We haven't gotten that counting on it yet.
Probably because they still have to turn in receipts and all that. You have to run all those through, right?
Well, they don't. I found out that the city calculates what the per diem should be for a trip, and then they cut a check to the individual doing the travel. They do direct bills on the hotels. So you don't have to turn in any travel receipts when you get back.
I would have liked that when I was a sales rep. Man, you have to keep track of those receipts, and if you didn't have one, man, you were screwed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, so how much do y'all think it might? Any idea?
I would say 10 or 12 grand.
Yeah. And what other money do you think did y'all find out was spent?
Well, we're getting close to calling for a forensic audit of the city's finances.
Now, you had talked about doing that during the campaign.
That's right. And
in fact, it was one of your promises.
This coming Tuesday, at the next council meeting, we're going to be making a request for a forensic audit. We don't know if there's money in the budget for that, and if we don't have it in the budget, what my plans are is to go to the corporate community and see if we can raise the money.
I imagine a lot of businesses are going to have a vested interest in Jackson finances being put on a sound footing.
Well,
and it's something you really need to find money for.
You have to. We're not sure we have to find money for, but we may be able to use what's called fund balance money. That's money that's left over at the end of the fiscal year. We're getting close to that, so we think at the very least we can use fund balance money.
It's just the stuff that I'm hearing. I mean, you have to do a forensic audit. There's just no. And
it would be wise on our part.
Be very wise. Also understand y'all been coming across these nice little contracts that nobody knew about.
Well, there have been a few contracts, and we also found out that in certain departments, a manager, not a department director, could authorize up to $75,000 in a contract for personal services, for contractual services.
Now they still have to get quotes and all that, right?
Well, I'm not. We haven't gotten that far.
I mean, by law they're supposed to, right?
Word.
I think it's like up to $50,000. You have to get a quote. Then after that, it's RFP, correct? Or something like that.
Something like that.
Right.
Yeah, it's pick up the phone once for a certain amount, pick up the phone twice for another amount.
Right.
And then I think it's after 100,000. I believe you have to get bids and bid it out. Do it right. You're talking about $25 million.
Well, how much money is left of the state money? The bonds.
All of it has been accounted for, and it's going to be spent. I think there's another $1 million that has to be spent. I mean that's there to be spent.
Right.
But it's already been allocated.
Okay, so you said about $1 million.
About $1 million, yeah.
And that's going to include that $300,000-400,000 you need to reopen, correct?
That does
or
not
projects?
include. No,
Does not. So we need another 300,000 to 400,000.
That's correct. That's correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Boy, you having to go just dig up money all over the place, aren't you?
Well, we
Your
we are.
assistant's just going,
I
yeah,
think
you don't
that,
know, brother.
we are doing okay.
Mhm.
There's some ways that we can bond some stuff with our use tax. The internet sales tax
Right.
as a source of payment. There are some ways. We got to find the right bond underwriter
I think
to
you're
do
getting
it.
what 15-18 million a year off of that tax, right? If I remember right.
About
bit.
15, somewhere around
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
It's a good bit.
Yeah.
I mean, the interesting part is your tax revenue between property sales and internet over the last, say, 5-8 years really hasn't fluctuated
It
all
has
that
not,
much.
but that use tax is part of the reason for that.
Exactly.
We've lost retail, actual retail you can go to, but folks are sitting at home like me in their skivvies ordering off of Amazon,
Oh, yeah.
and that sales tax still comes back to the city.
Yeah, thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Because
Absolutely.
that was about, I remember, you could read in the audits, you could tell when the year it happened because all of a sudden the other income reads zero. And then all of a sudden you see like $16 million the
Right.
next year in other
Yeah.
income.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the internet money.
Internet
Okay.
sales tax, which we call a use tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why it's classified separate. Gotcha.
Exactly. So the other thing, though, is that we've got just yesterday, the city has a lot of surplus equipment, motorized vehicles, backhoes, tractors, whatnot that are not working. We've got computers that are stuck in closets, furniture that's of a value that has to be tagged. And so what they were doing is going a couple of times a month on a Saturday to have an auction. And we don't raise a whole lot of money from that. But the state of Mississippi, as it divests of its surplus property, they've got a firm that does a pretty darn good job of marketing that equipment and getting rid of it, and the state makes money. So I just ordered my folks yesterday to go and get an audit done by these folks who work with the state to see if they think we've got enough money, enough goods to make these auctions worthwhile for us to engage in. And if they say yes, then we're going to do what the state does.
We've also got surplus property, buildings and stuff too, don't we?
That's a whole lot of that.
A whole lot of that.
And a lot of buildings that are also in disrepair. That city workers are
Because we don't do
operating in.
maintenance. Let's be honest. Not for
We
years.
have a care and maintenance department, but it's understaffed and under resourced. But and then they have been doing a lot of contracts. Some of the contracts could have been done by folks on staff, but the decision by the administration was to go ahead and outsource it through a contract.
Nice. Let's move on to some of the hot topics for what everybody when you think of city government. Okay, the apartments that has been a big issue lately. With over at one apartment complex, the water's cut off. Let's be honest, the guys. You probably can't say this on the air, but I can, which is they're paying you the money for the water. You're not paying the water company. It's in your pocket somewhere, or was, which I suspect is the past tense, was in your pocket somewhere.
Yeah. So there were Chapel Ridge.
That's more of a health hazard.
Made the news, and that was the garbage collections were cut off because of non-payment, but the water never was cut off.
No, that was over at Blossom.
Yes, Blossom, the water got cut off.
Right.
And the way that we responded to that is my office was contacted by Councilwoman Thomas, who is the Ward 6 council person. And she wanted help on us finding water that we could donate to the citizens. So we did find water. We delivered about 100 cases of water on Friday. But then we realized that they weren't able to flush toilets and whatnot over there. So we took the fire department's water trucks to not only to Blossom, but just in case, we took it to Chapel Ridge as well to make it possible for folks that needed potable water to be able to come with jugs and fill those up so that they could flush toilets and limit the unsanitary conditions there. So we've stopped that now at Blossom. there were about 20 some odd residents who were still in the apartment complex.
Right.
And 12 of them had Region 6 Section 8 vouchers. So Region 6 contacted each of them and said, look, we need you to come in on Monday, a couple of days ago, and you're going to be reassigned to a decent
livable place.
Facility, yeah. We had one Jackson Housing Authority voucher holder who also got relocated. And they had a Section 8 voucher, but through the Jackson Housing Authority. And then there were 4 or 5 folks that didn't have vouchers and may not have had the wherewithal to move.
And they really are in a bad place.
Yeah, and so we reached out to Stupot, and Stupot has a deal with Red Roof Inn where for up to 2 months they can help folks.
I saw that on Facebook. Yeah,
provide housing.
So some of these so-called activists who've been saying, "Where's the city in this? How come they're not helping?" Y'all have been helping.
Oh,
those were. We won't name any names, but we know who I mean.
Names, but they were Lumumbites who were bitter at the loss and just trying a way to try to pick at.
Well, they lost their checks,
but it was also untrue. It was not true. Yeah. So but we.
Well, I mean, I remember back in 22, on the Monday on the 29th when the water failed. I mean, you were one of the ones in the legislature who was actually calling the state saying, "Hey, we need something done today." You and I think Blunt both did, and I'll never forget.
It was the entire Jackson Senate delegation.
Yeah, and I'll never forget that meeting that the mayor called with y'all a day or two later, and Omari and Pickett and someone else just. You were nicer than I would have been.
Right.
I'd have told them to go to hell. But y'all sat there, we're professional, and they just proceeded to just berate y'all for doing that. How dare y'all do that? I mean,
well, we were elected officials too.
I mean, my point is you've always kind of tried to look out for the welfare here.
Right. And what was utmost in our minds was how do we take care of the people? Regardless of how bad it made the local government look. That's not our job.
Right.
Our job is to serve our constituents, and that's why we took the action.
Yeah, you represent a whole district of people, not just 5-7 people on city council and an administration. You work for the people, not for them.
Exactly.
Which some of these mayors forget sometimes.
Well, sometimes you might have a good motivation, but may not have the know-how. I thank my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ that I didn't get this thing when I went after it. I got it in my own season, and this is my season. I think.
You think losing the first 2 times, how much did it help you in winning this time?
It helped.
How much?
It seasons you, number one. It humbles you, number 2. It says you have to keep asking your question, why do I keep doing this when I keep getting rejected? And the only thing that I can say is that it's a calling. It's not a design. I knew I would be. I'm miserable. I like the idea of helping people. I like the idea of meeting a lot of different people that you haven't met before. But this is hard work. This is the hardest work I've ever done. And
it ought to be.
It's miserable. It's miserable. So the only thing I can say is that it really is a calling because I know that I can help this city. I know I can help bring resources and hopefully put a good team together.
One thing that was encouraging to see, though, was they joked about it up there at your inauguration, but, you have Tate and Benny, all these cats up there together. I mean, I'll be honest. We've been trying to unite the people in Jackson and in Mississippi for a long time. Well, your predecessor, he was one of the best uniters I've ever seen. I mean, he brought everybody together.
Well, he really did in reverse.
But exactly, in reverse. But, he was a uniter, all right. Just, But my point is, though, but you're also walking in a unique opportunity because never, except for maybe Melton, walked in as mayor with a united, behind it.
I told someone, I said, you know what?
Just don't
I've
be
not
like Frank.
seen this wide variety of people supporting somebody in Jackson since Frank Melton.
Yeah.
I saw Kathy Sykes.
Business community actually they're enthusiastic. Enthusiastic.
We were meeting with one of the leading law firms at lunch today in downtown who wanted to come and talk to us and let us share our vision. Let us hear their concerns. They're bullish on Jackson because they could go anywhere in the state, anywhere in the country for that matter, and they're opting to stay in Jackson, and we just got to get more of that. And we're making a commitment. We've got to commit to downtown. We've got to commit to keeping our business community at least stabilized and willing to remain, hopefully stop whatever hemorrhaging they're experiencing, but also create the kinds of environment that will allow them to grow and prosper.
Well, but also, what do you do about these problem let's just say problem establishments that are like next to really nice developments?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
What
do we do about that?
A moratorium has been issued by the city, by the predecessor, a moratorium on any more of those. And now we've got to manage the ones that are still remaining to make sure that they're assets and not detriments to downtown. And so law enforcement has got to play a big role in that.
And zoning.
And
zoning and
doubt,
site planning.
No doubt,
and
no
what
doubt.
a lot of these politicians don't realize is in this city we're in right now, Madison.
Right.
Yes, folks, he actually snuck out to Madison. Okay.
Big on ordinance and zoning.
And that's how you prevent a lot of stuff. It's preventative.
Right. Well, comprehensive plan, ordinance, and zoning. That's how you start development.
One thing, if I hear most in common from the business community, I've heard this through several administrations, is the permitting department.
And
every new one that comes up, we're going to fix it.
You know, we've had in the last, I'm in week 4, and we've had a few hiccups with our zoning and our building and permit. It's as if there's a disconnect between the folks who are working there as to from the folks who are working there as to what their job is. It sometimes I get the sense that their job in their minds is to stop development as opposed to facilitate development. We had I'll give you an example. We had a company that had a convenience store on Lynch Street. And it was a family-owned business, and the uncle who had the business decided he was going to retire, and the nephew was going to take it over. But somehow in the interim, I guess as a result of the permitting process, it was 2 months before when one business shut down and the other one was about to start up.
You can't do that.
And no. What happened is that because the business was shut down for a few weeks, and the business was within 100 feet of a church, the permit was denied because it violated zoning ordinances because it can't be within 100 feet of a church.
And it was probably grandfathered in when under the uncle.
Right.
Gotcha.
It was,
Wow.
but we're trying to stimulate and attract business in Jackson. We don't need to be coming up reasons why you can't open a business.
And this is probably a reputable convenience store, right?
As far as I know.
Not one of the problem ones we've had.
We had not had any problems with that particular convenience store, but the idea is that we got to generate sales tax. We got to have folks paying property tax, and we also have to have going concern businesses running towards Jackson as opposed to being run out of Jackson. And so we're trying.
Do you have an idea yet how you're going to? Because you just got in office, okay? How to fix the permitting department process?
Well, one thing is to get them refocused. A lot of people I've noticed who know rules, because they know a rule, they apply the rule even when the rule could be waived in order to facilitate business.
They don't see big picture.
They don't see the big picture. They're looking at in that code book or what have you, and some people will even go find a rule to throw at you to inhibit you and hinder you from operating your business.
And you wonder why people hate bureaucrats.
Yeah, well,
that's it.
And they had an engineer over there at one time, and it was like he became gleeful a lot of times when he found a rule on why you couldn't do what you were trying to do. And it was
Send
like
him to the
celebration.
IRS.
He would do well there.
He would do very well there. All right. While we're talking about the finance stuff, all right. City hasn't done an audit since 2022. What's going on there? We haven't
I mean, you're
finish
right.
the 2023 one yet.
We're owing the 2023,
Mm-hmm.
and by September 30th, we'll owe for 2024 and 2025.
Right.
So the issue that we're being told is that Jackson Water is the problem. The financing and the accounting that Jackson Water undergoes.
Your fiscal years, from what I understand, are like 4 months apart. Off.
Yes.
And you're on October 1 to October 1.
Year on an accrual basis.
Right.
Jackson Water is on a cash basis on a calendar fiscal year.
Let me explain that to the readers. Here's what we mean by this. Jackson's fiscal year is October 1 to September 30th. Okay.
Right.
Jackson Waters is, January 1 to New Year's Eve. And so because you have two sets of books that do not match up. Right. All right, go on.
Well, so our position, and I want to get everybody in the same room,
Mm-hmm.
the outside accountant, a CPA firm that the city has hired.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get Jackson Water, and I want to get our accounting folks and finance folks. I think the simple solution is to treat Jackson Water the way we treat the convention center.
Mm-hmm.
The convention center is an asset owned by the city of Jackson. But we don't have to incorporate their accounting into our accounting report. Mm-hmm. We attach their fiscally audit report.
Right.
And so my position is, why don't we attach the Jackson Water annual report and make it a part of the submission, but it's being controlled and managed by another entity, a third party.
And the money does not go in your books, except for the garbage money, but that's it.
Right. And the city doesn't have a way to verify the revenue that is being collected for the garbage. They just get a check that Jackson Water sends them, and they have to just trust Jackson Water that's what's been collected for garbage.
Basically, your positions needs to be treated more as an off-balance sheet.
Right. Exactly.
Asset.
And back to that garbage.
Mm-hmm.
So we're having to subsidize the amounts according to the contract that's owed behind what Jackson Water is sending us monthly for our revenue.
Is there a lag?
I think I think the problem is Jackson Water is only doing 70% collection on ratepayers for
which
water.
is higher than it has been.
A little higher.
A little higher.
It was at one time the city had a 90% collection rate. Years ago.
I'm going to play devil's advocate, though, okay? Because one thing I've talked to the Jackson Water people is they're like, yes, but if you go look at the number of accounts, we have a lot more accounts signed up than we used to. That's why the percentage isn't moving that as much as it should.
Well, I don't know about that, but I know that the 70% we could be having 100% collections on garbage.
Yeah.
And we're having 70% collections on garbage, too.
Problem.
Thereby having the deficit that the city has to make up.
Do we have an idea what the deficit is, just off the top of your head?
I have no idea, but I know that our bill for Jackson for Rich's disposal, we're paying them about $10 million a month. I mean, $10 million a year.
About to say
for collections.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not sure what the revenue is that Jackson Water is sending over to us, but I don't think it's anywhere close to that.
Gotcha. Let me see here. What about blighted properties? That's a big issue.
Well, it was a campaign promise for me, too.
Right.
You cannot develop Jackson. You can't bring it back with all the blight that we've got in here.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a blight of tax forfeited properties that the state, half of which the state owns, half of which have been conveyed to the city, about 6,000 lots. Mm-hmm. And then we have had an opportunity to deal with blighted property before, but with the blight elimination program that Home Corp ran, there was $20 million out there. The city might have gotten 800,000 or so of that, where we could have gotten in the millions. The program was not well written. I will give them that. Home Corp did not write a good program that folks could access. But you got HUD money that you can use to eliminate blighted property, and the city only in recent months has begun to do a lot more demolitions. There was a private sector effort to do demolitions, to revitalize Mississippi, Jim Johnson's old group.
Right.
And so what was done just showed no impact. So I had heard that HUD had about $6 million that could be used. It's their CDBG money that had been rolling over year after year that the city wasn't spending their money. And so it had accumulated up to $6 million.
It's like a recurring theme here.
Yeah, well, there is
like
a recurring theme
you
here.
know?
Yeah. So anyway, the administration was saying to us in the campaign, there is no $6 million. And then when I finally got into office, I found out they were right, because as soon as I mentioned that there was $6 million, they started spending it down so that I wouldn't be right. but the fact of the matter, we have found about $3 million that we can use for blight elimination, and I made a commitment that we're going to start first in South Jackson, because that's what needs it the baddest.
Well, here's what Detroit did. I got this out of City Journal. They had 47,000 abandoned or uninhabitable houses, more than 50,000 vacant lots.
Right.
And city had a land bank. They
Right.
took possession of all that. Now, they've actually reduced the inventory of vacant houses down to 2,900. They hope to get it down to 1,000 by the year's end. Here's what they did. They demolished 29,000 unsalvageable homes, and the land bank launched programs to sell fixable properties, not to developers, though,
Right.
but to individuals willing to restore them. In just over a decade, one auction, because they've had the same mayor for 10 years now.
Right.
One auction program sold 15,000 houses, some for as little as 1,000 to city employees, veterans, and residents who committed to rehabilitate them within time frame. But here's
you have
the
to make that commitment to rehab, though.
But here's the interesting part that I thought was really cool. The land bank also sold $25,000 side lots to neighboring homeowners who turned them into gardens, built garages, basketball courts, playgrounds, which actually boosted the property values.
That actually is in our seminal plans to do likewise. There are a lot of parallels between Jackson and Detroit.
Oh, when you read that article, it's going to be just jumping out at you.
So they not only I've been told all along that Jackson didn't have a land bank, and then I get a report that says Jackson has a land bank. Well, why haven't we? Well, I got this from a former planning and development director for the city. But in any event, we can get a land bank, creatively dispose of property, sell property that's rehabable, tear down stuff that isn't, and then look at things like ornamental and food gardens.
And I don't think most people have a problem with you giving at little or no cost, say a property, say in South Jackson, to
if someone's going to take care of that property and keep it mowed, have some kind of development on there. But we also have to right size Jackson, just like they right sized Detroit. Detroit's its footprint is a lot smaller than it was 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
And we got to do the same thing, because we're taking care of property in an area that's designed for 200,000 people. We got 144,000 people in Jackson now. So we've got to right size our city in terms of how much infrastructure over here do we really need to be taking. There's nobody over here.
There's also that applies to city number of employees and services too.
I was talking about that at lunchtime too.
Yeah.
But the city used to have about 3,000 employees. There are only about 1,300 employees with the city of Jackson right now. I was shocked. I thought it was a lot more than that. But we have probably still too many employees for what we need to take care of. We can use technology. We can use just efficiencies of size and management to use fewer people to take care of the space that we've got. But we got to right size it, and some of it might need to go back to nature. Create nature preserves, nature parks, that sort of thing. And that way we don't have to take care of plumbing and infrastructure, lights and whatnot. We've got, I've forgotten how many street lights. We probably need more street lights because it's dark in different parts of Jackson.
I'd love for you to double the number of street lights, say in Palm Bridges, for example.
Yeah. Well, there are several places that we need to light up. that we need to keep lit up, and there are places that where we don't need traffic lights, or where we need traffic lights that actually respond to traffic. And in some cases, you can be at a traffic light in a certain part of town, and you're at this green light. There's nothing coming either way.
Yeah.
In three directions, it's only you sitting there, but you're at a traffic light.
Well, we know what everybody does when they come to those lights now.
A lot of
just
folks,
run 'em.
a lot of folks, yeah.
I mean,
And
the-
the impatience around that, some of it makes sense. Why am I sitting there's nobody around me? Let me go through it.
I'm not going to say what I do.
Well, I'm not going to say what I do sometimes, but
6 a.m. at Pear Orchard and on a Saturday morning. Yep, I'm going through it.
but those kinds of things. And again, I thought that there was a central place where you can control the traffic lights in Jackson.
No,
There isn't. It's at every intersection.
and a lot of them are unsynchronized.
And they're unsynchronized, and the boxes where the technology is are outdated. The wiring and whatnot inside, they're outdated, and that's why we have these breakdowns.
Did you see what happened in San Francisco recently?
No.
They're starting to replace stoplights with stop signs. Do you want to know why?
Because they save a bunch of money on electricity, I'll bet.
No, because yeah, the bums are
the
residentially
copper
challenged.
thieves.
They're getting into those boxes and they're
Right.
ripping out all that stuff, and it's so expensive for them to keep replacing. They're like, screw it, we're just going to put in stop signs. You're like, really?
Well,
And they have a much more permissive attitude than we do, obviously.
but I bet the traffic flows more smoothly.
I'll be honest, when the light went out at Sheffield a couple of years ago, and it was out for about a month, I thought the traffic moved better when it was a four-way stop because we weren't just all bunched up waiting and then trying to get through the light. It just flowed. It flowed.
Exactly. And some of these traffic lights are still there when the factory, because that was the reason that they put the light there, closed 30 years ago.
Do we
But
even
the
have a
light's still
traffic?
there.
Do we have any traffic techs now or not? Because we didn't last year.
Traffic? Yes.
People who can
there are a
actually work on
couple-
them now.
Well, we have a couple of traffic control employees. I'll put it that way. And there's a guy who just retired who knew more about it than anybody else. He's working for a contractor who's doing business with the city to come and fix it when the stuff goes out. He's doing it from that side.
Mhm.
But he said, look, I'm willing to come back. You all give me a contract. I'll train up a couple of these guys on really knowing how to do this stuff. So we're going to sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah, because you're losing institutional knowledge there, which you
We've
desperately
lost a
need.
lot of
And
institutional
when you
knowledge.
see a long list of lights that don't work, and then Robert Lee admits to the city council, we don't have anybody on staff who knows how to fix them. Problem. Don't worry, I'm watching it. I'm watching the clock. In fact, let's move. Speaking of, what did you think of went down in court yesterday with Hennepin and Wingate? That was surprising.
Very interesting. Well, it was over. The judge is very deliberative, and he can be a little pedantic from time to time. Takes his time with making a decision.
You think?
and Hennepin is desperate because he feels that Jackson Water is desperate. There's $27 million that's owed to contractors who are on the O&M side, the operations and maintenance side of the $600 million. There was $150 million that was used dedicated for operations and maintenance, O&M, and $450 million for construction and installation. Most of that money is still there at $450.
But it has to have a specific purpose.
And then there's got to be somebody who manages the deployment of that. The money to manage the deployment of that is gone.
Right.
And so
Your discretionary money, basically.
discretionary, and a lot of it was we had to make decisions quick to get the system back up and running, and then put plans together and designs to deploy. Because the problem right now with our system is the transmission of the water. At the plant, the water is great when it leaves the plant. It may
And the production has gone up a lot.
It's gone up a lot, but
well,
we're
because-
still losing 20 million gallons a day.
Yeah, but it's a lot better than it used to be.
Right.
I mean, and you can.
We're losing about almost 50 million gallons a
Right.
day. So the challenge is that we can't pay the operations and maintenance folks because we're out of money. So one of the ways that we were looking, that Ted Hennepin was looking to make that up was through a rate increase. The rate increase was going to amount to about a penny a gallon, about $8 a month.
$9 a month, yeah.
For the average ratepayer. But we can't conduct business if we don't have the operations and management part covered, and so we're at an impasse. And what Hennepin wanted the judge to do was two things: approve the rate increase, and
which he didn't do,
and create an authority made up of ratepayers.
Let's save that for another podcast.
Well, quick though, but it was the reason for that is because Jackson Water is not a public entity.
Correct. It's
and
private.
It cannot issue tax-exempt bonds. He wanted to create the authority to be able to issue tax-exempt bonds, and now he can't do either one. He can't do the rate increase, and he can't issue tax-exempt bonds.
So that's probably why he was throwing up his hands yesterday. He said, "Look, I can't function like this."
Well, I talked to he called me and said I'm considering getting out of here, and for all of the I haven't agreed with everything Ted does. I think overall he's done a good job.
But you're both sincere and trying.
Trying
and you can work out a lot of things
done.
when
Exactly.
you both are,
when
right?
you're actually trying to work things out. So but the former incumbent is who suggested Hennepin in the first place. That's the information I got. I just found
the
out.
National Water
last
Alliance
month.
was a very liberal organization, and if you went through their website, you'd see it. And I've sat in some Zoom meetings with National Water, where in the beginning, where Hennepin's on their meeting, and he was very, he's on the liberal side. No two ways about it. Okay, but he also is what used to be called competency, and it's what you're seeing. Like Ezra Klein just wrote about all these big cities around the country where it's like the competency has disappeared, and we all know who those cities are. But you understand what I'm saying here. It's
So, but anyway, we're in a dilemma again because we don't have money for the operational side of things. He was also trying to get Congress to approve moving $36 million from the 450.
And Wicker is trying. I can tell you that
he's trying. But
it's Congress.
And it's going to be tough to move that mountain. We also we're trying to get some liberalness on the match on the $25 million that the Corps is giving us for wastewater. It's right now a 75-25 match requirement. We're trying to get it to 90-10.
That would help.
That would help. But one thing that I will say, and I've disagreed with Ted on this in particular, we got to come. There are some ways that we can generate income from our sewage. Energy production, data centers are huge. Not as a way to actually run data centers, but to serve as a supplemental source of energy production for data centers. So I think the boat that we're missing here is sludge from the wastewater can be turned to fertilizer. We can market that. We're not doing it. And we're not.
We used to pay contractors money just to haul it away, haul
it off,
like your friend Socrates
in an open field. We're not going to talk about Socrates.
No, we're not.
But there are some income producing things that we need to be pursuing more of as we come up with these solutions.
We're about to wrap it up. We have only a couple of minutes left. So, and by the way, I understand you froze your ass off a couple of days ago. You're over at Core Therapy or something like that.
Oh, tell us that kind of freezing.
Yeah, you were literally freezing your ass off.
I was literally freezing. Everything was freezing off.
What is that like?
Pure D hell.
Oh, really? Do you recommend it?
Frozen hell. I recommend it for the benefits that it provides.
Which are?
I would not recommend anybody going through the experience, but at the outcome of the experience, it's good for you. Professional athletes swear by this stuff,
and
they
do.
And it's you go in this chamber, you take off all your clothes, put on gloves, put on socks and booties, cover your midsection, and you stand there you're in there for 3 minutes, and it goes.
And it's a long 3 minutes, huh?
The longest 3 minutes you will ever bear. between 200 and 240 degrees below zero.
Jeez.
And what it does, it resets your system at the cellular level. It's great for wound healing. That's why the pro athletes swear by it. It knocks out soreness, and it constricts your veins, and it just kind of resets.
And you're an exercise freak. You like to exercise.
No, I'm not an exercise freak.
I mean, but you do your boot camps.
I do that, yeah. But I just do enough to to me, your health is your wealth. And if you can have all the money in the world, but if you're not healthy, then it goes for naught. I was in there one time, and this gorgeous lady came out. They said I had to wait. There's 2 people ahead of me. Gorgeous woman first comes out. A few minutes later, this guy who was just cut to the bone, not an ounce of fat on him, big broad shoulders. And I look at him, and they it turned out they were husband and wife. I go in, guy says, "Hey, you know who that was?" I said, "No, Jonathan Mingo." I said, "Okay."
You're like, who?
Who's this guy? Wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. Ole Miss wideout. He played for Ole Miss. Great wide receiver. He's a starter. I think he's with the Dallas Cowboys now. But yes. He's from Brandon.
Right.
He said every time he comes here, he makes a beeline from Brandon over to here. He swears by this stuff. I said, put me in that chamber.
I know some other people.
I want to look like Jonathan Mingo.
And they swear by it too. And by the way, the question I didn't get around to asking you today is, what do you think about the Sydney Sweeney ad? Not going to ask you about that one because we're about out of time.
Okay.
Go Google that one. It's one of these internet controversies that has just erupted. And wouldn't you say it's been fun to watch, Daniel? It's been a lot of fun to watch. I mean, what people get upset over nowadays is just
to go check that out.
Yeah,
I'm sure Jamal, my assistant, knows who that is, but I don't have a clue.
I got a feeling he's going, yeah, I do. Yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk about crime today, so if we ever do one of these again, which I hope we will, I'm going to talk about crime.
Chief Wade is doing, since that crazy shootout in Brook Hollow, we've been doing some interesting things, and I'd love to come and share that with you sometime.
Would love to. And that thing, and I mean, that crap in Brook Hollow.
We had 3 arrests.
Yeah.
And well, I'll just say.
And you got some cooperation from one of the arrestees.
Yes. Doing sweeps, doing roadblocks. 4 days, had 782 citations issued, 22 people with felonies against them that we took off the streets, took a bunch of guns off the streets. And there's more to come.
Well, you know what's funny about some of those idiots doing this shooting and crap? They like to use those AK pistols and AR pistols, but they haven't figured out they need to use a brace when they shoot with them. Because so they wonder why they're. If you notice some of these, like the one they had in front of King Edward, it was like a couple of years ago. They'll fire like 100 rounds and not hit anybody because they think they can shoot this like a 9mm. Right. It's like, I hope like you clowns never figure it out.
Right, exactly.
So anyway, thank you very much for coming on the podcast today, Mayor. Thank you very much for Daniel over here at Alchemy Audio. What is it? I always get tongue tied here. Audio Alchemy Productions. You want to do your own podcast. You don't know how to edit. You don't have a studio. Don't worry. He does all that for you. All you have to do is show up and, like me, just run your mouth off. That's it. Anyway, thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you guys for the entourage for coming, and get back to it.